Welcome, everyone, to the Ghost Helpers podcast. This is the place where the paranormal is our normal. And I'm excited today to welcome my guest, Shari Heftel. And she and I are going to be discussing crystal singing bowls, which is sort of the title of this, but we're going to be discussing the production of sound and how production of sound affects the physical body in a variety of manifestations. So let us get started. Shari, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And let's tell everyone a little bit about what you do and how we got together.
Okay. Um, I come from Hawaii, and growing up, I was just very, very attracted to the sound of the ocean. It's a very rich nature environment, and I um, I had been working in body work, helping people to feel better, and I was deeply attracted to gongs. That was my first introduction into sound healing, and just the way that they felt in my
The
body.
gong, the round brass gong.
So I have one behind me.
Okay.
This one comes from Indonesia, and the gongs they're hammered metal, usually brass, and so they're hammered so that they're thinner, and when you hit them, there is a resonance, meaning that it just continues to vibrate. And they have the ability to help shake up your cells and all of your tissues. And so, like when you get a massage, it starts to move uh, both your energy, but also your blood and your lymph. It's has a circulatory effect on the body. When I heard those gongs, it was like coming home. There was something that was so comfortable about it. They speak beyond the mind, and they just speak right to your soul. And so I was at a store, and there was a gong, and I first played it a little bit. And before I knew it, I had taken it off the shelf and I was carrying it. And I carried it around the store. By the time I got done, it was mine.
Oh, of course, you bonded with the gong.
I found it. And that's the thing, too. A lot of these instruments would choose you. And so I took that home, and that was the first thing that I had ever bought. And uh, didn't really know how to play it. But another thing that I have found is that these instruments, the ancient healing instruments, it's like they teach you. And so when you play it, you feel guided as to when to strike it next. Have you noticed that when you play your bowl?
I I've always loved instruments, and I played seven different instruments, from the violin to a French horn and piano and German recorder, and I
Mm-hmm.
was never very good at it, but I really loved the understanding the fingering and all the tones and how music worked. And then the more I started studying tones and the quality of it, I stumbled upon something called a Tibetan Tingsha.
Mm-hmm. I have some too.
Yeah, they look like little UFOs, but they're
Uh-huh.
from Tibet. And of course, they have very interesting characters on them. And the characters have a frequency, and the frequency of the characters is sent out through the sound.
Yes,
And
yes.
then a long time ago, we used to own a crystal mine in Arkansas. And then someone introduced me to crystal singing bowls, which is sort of the title for our show today. And you and I were having a discussion recently about an alchemy crystal bowl. And
Mm.
what I discovered is that when you're listening to these crystal bowls, the sound penetrates the body, but the sound just keeps going into the universe. So make a beautiful sound. So let's take a second, and this is a crystal singing bowl, but it's an alchemy singing bowl. So go ahead and let's just let people hear this.
And the distinction between the crystal bowls that are carved from a single piece of crystal and the alchemy singing bowls is that with the carved crystal, you basically have one tone. So maybe you have a C bowl
Right.
that resonates in the root chakra. And with the crystal alchemy bowls, they're prepared with a different technology, and so they are heated to over 4,000 degrees, and that makes it so that you can have a thin wall, and yet they're pretty strong. And alchemy, because they're heating the crystal, not carving it from a single piece, they can add other properties in with the crystal. And then when you play it and the consciousness of the crystal goes out, the consciousness of whatever other element that they've added also goes out. So
Right, because I was reading about these, and you can have a labradorite, or
yes,
you could have amethyst, or you could have malachite, or any, lapis. You could have a variety, and some of them actually come in colors.
yeah, gold, platinum, and I have ones that are clear. I have ones that are multicolored, and they also Crystal Tones, which is the company that produces these. They also infuse their intention into the bowls themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So this one is called a grandfather bowl, and so it has the ability, or at least the intention has been set, that when you hear or you play these tones, they're connecting you with your ancestors and the wisdom of the ancestors. So let me
Okay,
go.
well let's hear it. Isn't that really beautiful? That is lovely.
Mhm.
The singing bowls that I have are the frosted ones, and they came about because they're 99.8% quartz crystal, silicon dioxide, and a resin. And they were a byproduct from the, Silicon Valley making computer chips. Because every electronic device is full of crystal.
Yes.
And you can, like, my son's a mechanic, and he said a BMW has, an amazing number of computers just in one car. Well, that's true for all cars now.
Yeah.
And they all have silicon dioxide, so they all have a frequency.
Yeah.
They're not just, well, all metal has a frequency anyway.
Mhm.
But they heat this crystal to 4,000 degrees and pour it in a mold.
Yeah.
And it's just nothing short of amazing. They do have carved bowls of rose quartz and amethyst, which are pretty pricey.
Yeah.
The other ones are becoming more available for people. So
Yeah.
let's talk about a little bit about what happens to the body, because you are an energy worker.
Mhm.
And so, can you see from your viewpoint what happens to a body when you're playing these crystal bowls, or you're feeling the sound vibration go through your body at a really great frequency?
Yes. And one of the great reasons to actually be in the physical presence of these bowls, as opposed to hearing them with your ears, and that's not to, it's still beneficial, right? Like you listen to the solfeggio tones, right? And you're listening through a device, but you have to remember that the device can only transmit the tones that it's able to. Whereas when you're in the vicinity of these crystal bowls, you're not just hearing, but your entire body and your other bodies also are being basically bathed in these frequencies. And that's why sometimes, a lot of times, um, when you go to an event to hear crystal bowls played, it's called a sound bath because you literally are being bathed in these healing frequencies and you're receiving again the consciousness of the crystals, which is a very pure element. It's very high frequency, so it has the ability to entrain your brain waves. So say you have a thinking mind that likes to just kind of run like a hamster on a wheel. It helps you to just more easily drop back into your presence, your divine presence, and to be able to just sit and receive. So it's a great aid for meditation, and it's just great to even just, again, be in the vicinity, to play these um, when you're up and about, you can listen to them while you sleep. They can play in the background, and then you can also get a bowl and play it yourself. So they train the brain waves, meaning they take you out of the beta brain waves, which we're all in beta when we're conscious and
Just working every day.
working every day, solving problems, doing the dishes, whatever. And then the next state is the alpha brain waves. And it's more of a flow state. So where we're able to just relax. And even if you're working, you're in a relaxed state of mind. And so ideas come to you more easily. You're able to just open to your guidance and just really feel good.
I think that's amazing. My husband and I play solfeggio frequencies, which are in the 528 range, but we were also playing 432 hertz. And we play it all night long. And it really nourishes the body because you're hearing a vibration
Mhm.
that gives the cells an energy that they really can't get anywhere else.
Yes,
And
yes.
that makes a huge difference. And when you're playing an actual big singing bowl yourself, you can feel that sound wave go through your body. It clears you. Maybe you've had a really difficult day with so many tough people, and you sit down and you just play this bowl like it's a beautiful musical instrument that it is,
Mhm.
and you feel the sound. And I think what's really cool is although the crystal singing bowls are a modern invention and the alchemy bowls are a modern invention, let's look back in time to other traditions. And I do happen to have here, because I made many trips to Monument Valley. This is a double flute that you would hear the Navajo play, and you can get music that the Navajo plays. There's some really beautiful tones that come from that. And you have some things from other places as well.
I do. So this is a didgeridoo.
You know, I've never actually seen one. That's so cool. It's really big.
Yeah, so they can be very long. I also have ones that are practice ones, where that's a more modern invention too, where you can just kind of take it with you because it's hard to carry something this long with you if you're traveling. But they have like small ones that are travel size that you can practice, because it uses the breath, and the breath is consciousness coming in. So the more that we do things that encourage us to take these long, deep breaths, and you have to be able to play the didgeridoo, so it gets this beautiful flow going where you breathe in and then you blow. When you breathe in and you blow, and with people that are very experienced didgeridoo players, they do something called circular breathing.
Yeah, we see that with people who are in band or symphonies or orchestras.
Yeah, they're blowing And at the same time, through their nose, they're just bringing in little sips of
Right.
air, but they're able to keep that beautiful sustained sound. So it's, yeah, they're amazing. And what's beautiful is if you go back in time and you look at the different indigenous cultures that that used sound, you'll see that they used what was around them. So animal skins to make drums, hollow tree trunks to make also instruments where you could get rhythm. And the didgeridoos are from hollowed out trees. And so, bringing rocks together or making a little, um, a shell little
Mhm.
trick that you rattle,
Well,
or
that's what wind chimes are too.
yeah,
You get different tones based on the size, shape, and length of a wind chime, which in feng shui it uses the consciousness of the chime and the wind to call out your message when
yes.
you're building your business, which is a really great thing.
Mhm.
And it's just really beautiful.
And they were all done, to help people just come into their full embodied presence, but also to kind of shake away anything unwanted, whether it's tension or disease or thoughts of limitation and lack, but also for protection. To they're high vibrational, and so it when we keep ourselves in a really high frequency, we are not open to other energies that may want to come in.
Exactly. I think that when
All about that.
yeah, we really are focusing on building frequency.
Mhm.
And when you're sending a tone, a beautiful tone out, it actually crosses the universe.
Mhm.
A beautiful tone just keeps going because there's nothing that stops it.
Yes, and what our ability to hear, because of the limitation of our physical ears, we stop hearing it. But that wave that we've sent out goes on forever.
That's
Forever.
exactly right.
Hmm.
It goes on forever, and it you have a connection to the wave. You have a connection to the beauty, and that's a really positive thing.
Hmm.
And when we look at how sound and words affect us, we go back to Masaru Emoto's work, Messages from Water.
Hmm.
And he would present a symphony or different kinds of music to water, which we know water has consciousness.
Hmm.
Water also represents the subconscious of the body, since we are 70, depending on how hydrated we are, 70 to 80% water.
Hmm.
So when we're able to understand that he was able to get snowflakes, to get ice crystals, and then the more perfect the crystal, actually, I have one that he did in, I have it here somewhere. Here it is. So when you have a perfect crystal, you have a perfect ice crystal like this. I'm trying to get that. I've got a mirror. There we go.
Beautiful.
You see, every one of the points is in perfect shape.
Yes.
It's in harmony. It's in balance.
Hmm.
When you use these crystal singing bowls or a didgeridoo or a Navajo flute or gong, there used to be church bells. Were
Yes.
all over Europe, all over the United States. They were, cast in these foundries, and the energy of these church bells would go through people and start to clear them.
Yes.
So when you're hearing a higher frequency tone, and if it's you're listening to a symphony, Mozart, Chopin, Schubert, Beethoven, Wagner, you're hearing powerful energy that goes in and rebalances the cellular structure of the body. That's why the Mozart effect was written, because a guy had, basically terminal cancer, and he's listening to Mozart all day long every day, and they wakes up one day, no longer has cancer.
Yes.
And that's a very famous case. And what we're trying to do is, in metaphysics, the more you understand about raising frequency, the better it is. And what I'm doing with Ghost Helpers is to take apart some of these concepts. And today our focus is just the power of sound to realign the chakras, to realign the cellular structure, and bring balance to all of the water molecules in the blood and throughout the organs and the tissue and the bone of the body. When you think about the power of that, it's actually not expensive. It's
No.
not dynamic. It's not crazy. You're listening to music that makes you happy in every culture on earth, whether it's the Tibetans with the long horns. I bet they have these long horns. You were just describing them before we started.
If you look behind me, this is that is a dungeon, and it is a Tibetan longhorn, and kind of reminiscent if you've ever watched a Ricola commercial and you see those long horns that they play.
Right.
What they would do is the monks would stand outside of their monastery, and they would stand on the turrets, and they would have these long horns, and they would blow, and you could hear this beautiful sound. They actually are like a long didgeridoo because they don't actually have a tone. It's the tone that you use when you're blowing. And so they would do that when the monks would be leaving, and then they would to send them with good wishes and blessings. And then when they would come back, they would also play that to welcome them home. And so, how beautiful to be welcomed with this beautiful sound.
Well, that goes back to, I don't know, maybe the Knights of the Round Table and people who had court. They would herald the heroes home. They would blow these beautiful horns, whether they were types of trumpets or bugles, and they would play this music. I mean, who hasn't heard the haunting melody of taps, which
Hmm.
was actually written during the Civil War
Yeah,
on a plantation in Virginia.
yeah,
Um, and it what that does is it music affects us, it moves us,
it does. It really
and
does.
that's why opera is so important. Maybe we're not interested in all of the opera, but there's a wonderful, if you've ever heard Over the Rainbow sung by Catherine Jenkins,
Hmm.
in her light operatic voice, she sings this, and it hits every chakra.
Hmm.
Or the opening music to the film Edward Scissorhands,
Hmm.
that just goes right to every cell in the body. We have a lot of wonderful composers, but when you have music that is more monotone, not like the horns of the ancients or the native people, but and I hate to pick on rap music, but rap music is so monotone, and it's not a healing frequency. And this was really brought up by David Campbell in Power versus Force.
Hmm.
David Hawkins, I'm sorry. Campbell wrote The Mozart Effect.
Yeah.
David Hawkins wrote Power versus Force. And he specifically discusses the frequency of rap music and how detrimental it is. And to give an idea of how powerful music is, when I had, seems like a long time ago, I was in the Navy and I was a terrorist expert for the submarine force. So I contacted a lot of civilian companies and asked them what did they do to protect their properties
Hmm.
from being robbed or vandalized. And I talked to one of the security people at Southland Corporation. Southland Corporation owns all, or they used to own all of the 7-Elevens in a whole bunch of states.
Mm-hmm.
And they discovered this weird thing. If they played elevator music or light Mozart, they had no crime. It just dropped the crime rate to virtually zero.
Mm-hmm.
But if they were playing rap music, it changes something in the brain that dramatically affects the person in a non-beneficial way. Let me trying to be polite about that, but it's not beneficial for your body.
Mm-hmm.
But the higher the frequency, and they kind of put it out there, doesn't have to be loud.
Yeah.
Can be subtle. It literally changed the crime rate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's so powerful. Maybe this is a good time also to make a distinction between sound and music, and then between um, the different types of sound and the different types of music. So sound is just sound. It's a frequency. Music is organized sound. So,
Correct.
and then with sound, there's therapeutic sound, and that's the sound that's of a higher frequency, and you can tell when you feel it. But there also is sound that's a low vibration that can actually be weaponized. It can be, and the government has, and other governments have um, researched, and they have sound that really doesn't is not healing. It's actually a weapon. And if you've ever had like an alarm system where you've been um,
Exactly.
right, and it's jarring, and it just doesn't feel good. So then now, if you jump over to music, which is organized sound, there's music that's created, and the person creating it is in a high frequency. And so, and a lot of, if you look at Beethoven and Mozart, they were actually bringing the divine through them, and it was coming out through their music. And so it's so beautiful and inspiring. So it's the intention of the person bringing it through, but also the intention of the person playing it, because sound or music becomes amplified by the energy of the person that's playing it. But then you drop down to lower vibrational music, and sometimes pop music falls into this category. You mentioned rap, heavy metal music. When Dr. Masaru Emoto exposed water to heavy metal music, it created these gruesome looking shapes. It looked so dark. And the water was not able to create these beautiful crystalline structures.
I have his books. I actually met him
Mm-hmm.
before he died, and in his books, Messages from Water, you can see that there is no organization. It created chaos
Yes.
in the water molecules. So if you're listening to that, I can't express this enough. I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
It brings chaos into the cellular structure of the body.
Mhm. And chaos is the opposite of, if you, God frequency is divine order, and
Yes.
chaos is just the opposite. Now, also think of water also has memory. So when you're listening to that, not only are you exposing yourself and all of the water in you to these lower vibrations, but your water that's within you keeps that memory of it. And so we want to be very careful, very deliberate about what we allow to be in our field. And so if you're in a place where music is playing and it does not make you feel good, it's a good idea to leave.
It and you see this where off there, if someone is an angry teenager and they're listening to super angry music,
Mm-hmm.
it exacerbates their emotions and it can
Yes.
push them to a place
Mm-hmm.
they don't need to be. Now, if they're that angry, there's a whole lot of other things going on in that house
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
that, you know, playing different music may or may not affect.
Right.
and parents have to set the example of beautiful music. Here's an interesting concept. We live in the Pacific Northwest, and we have wasp nests here and there. And I know we're really strange, but we don't kill them because they're pollinators.
I don't either.
I have a huge one in a wind chime that they just took over, and they can have it for the season. They won't be back next year in that place.
Mhm.
Well, my son and his wife and children had one right off their balcony. They were all operating on the balcony, and this thing was like this big. It was just enormous. And if the music, if it seemed like they were upset, my very intelligent daughter-in-law would play Mozart on her phone,
Mm.
and she would project it at the wasps, and they would completely calm down.
Ah.
And when the children were on the balcony, everyone was laughing and happy, but they were very respectful. So the intention was we were respecting nature, we're respecting these creatures because they have a job to do. They're part of the ecosystem, and it's not up to us to just randomly kill them.
Right. Right.
And what happened was, they were perfectly fine. No one was hurt or injured or had any problem with them. And the fall came and they abandoned it. Well, they left it there. So wasps will not come back to a nest that's already been used. They
Mhm.
just won't.
Mhm.
So they didn't come back. So they didn't have to worry about a wasp nest on their balcony anymore. And I've seen them in the trees, and some of them are monstrously large.
Yeah.
So when you can project this beautiful music,
Mhm.
it isn't just your body, it's your cat's body, your dog's body. It's all of the birds, it's all of the insects, everything around you. That frequency is rising and rising. Your plants are healthier.
Yeah.
I have strawberries on and bushes on my balcony because I don't have to fight the deer that way. And I'm not competing with deer. But when we started playing these higher frequencies at night, the strawberry leaves, there are 3 leaves on a strawberry plant. Each leaf got to be enormous. And the strawberries are a decent size too. And so I thought, well, what we're doing is we're organizing the cellular structure of the plant. So I have a friend who has a dahlia farm.
Mhm.
So she is playing solfeggio frequencies and blasting this out to this acre of dahlias that she's growing and all these beautiful plants. And she is jaw dropped at how these plants are responding, and they're blooming, and the leaves are enormous. You're giving an energy through sound to all living things.
Yes.
So imagine that the minerals in the earth, or you're playing beautiful music in your car, all the minerals and the metal in your car are now vibrating at this higher frequency. It's your car will stay in greater shape longer.
Yes. Yeah.
Your
There's.
body will be healthier longer. Actually, I'm 150. Can't you tell?
Uh,
So I think that understanding the power of sound is really, really important. So, what are some things that you have felt personally as you've been using these singing bowls?
they're amazing conscious raisers. So, meaning uh, life has become a lot easier, more streamlined, more more clarity, more ability to discern. Um, my body, I it's one of the ways that I have healed my body because I came through a childhood that where I held a lot of tension in my body, and then that
Mhm.
led to um, some chronic illness. I was in a state of disease, and since having, since being exposed to and then playing these, because I play them all the time, so I do sound baths regularly in different places where I am just surrounding and sending out these beautiful frequencies. Of course, the crystal has frequency all its own, but if you don't play it, it's not able to be amplified and to really go out to touch
Correct.
people. So then when you play the sound, it is quite, like you said, it just goes out. Sorry, my cat is a little bit rambunctious today, but it goes out into every living being, into the structure, into the air. And then because I'm so close playing those frequencies, they become a part of me. And so it's so much easier for my frequency to stay high and for me to just be in a place that is just lovely to be in. You know, like you said, it's like it changes the structure of our bodies. It just helps to really anything that's like lower vibrational because you mentioned the Mozart that was played, and then basically it's going to kill cancer cells because cancer cells are very low vibration and they're actually anaerobic. They don't thrive. They thrive in the absence of oxygen. So when we're surrounding ourselves, immersing ourselves in this beautiful frequency, our oxygen is we're more
Well,
oxygenated.
basically, you have better oxygenation of the cells
Yes,
that
yes,
enables the entire body to function as a much more dynamic unit,
yes, yeah.
and you're at ease.
At ease. So things like because as your frequency raises and you basically tune into more of like who you really are and who you came here to be, it helps us to kind of come out of the human aspect as well. Not that we're human, we're in these physical bodies, but we can also be very connected to the God self. And when we're more in that state, then we're not in fear, we're not in worry, we're not anxious. A lot of the lower vibrational emotions drop away. And what's left is that peace that surpasses understanding,
That's
which,
exactly right. It surpasses understanding. So when you have of this peace inside of you, now imagine that you're having problems with your teenagers. So I
mhm,
want to bring this to really practical level.
yeah,
Your spouse just can't seem to see eye to eye. You're just completely out of balance with each other. Your
mhm,
children can't seem to hear you.
mhm,
Then, if you started to play with, perhaps it's a singing bowl, it's kind of cool.
yeah,
You find you create engagement with your teenagers or your small children.
mhm,
Small children just eat this up with a spoon.
yeah,
And when you're playing something really beautiful, then and you're changing the energy, people know that they want to be mad, but they can't quite get there.
mhm,
And I noticed that some shopkeepers will actually play some of the most beautiful music while you're in their shop, and you just linger because you feel that you're bathed in this wonderful environment and
yeah,
kind of don't want to leave. And
mhm,
this is why a lot of restaurants play horrible music really loud so they can turn the tables over faster.
it's the
Because awful music played loud means you don't want to stay long. And
right,
I avoid those restaurants entirely.
yeah. Your heart rate goes up, your breathing, it
That harmonic
mhm,
creates anxiety.
it does.
And I don't know if you ever saw the movie Shawshank Redemption with Morgan Freeman. It's a movie about a guy who's wrongly sent to prison.
Mhm,
And there's this remarkable scene in this film. Through a bizarre chain of events, the guy who's the hero of the show gets Mozart records and he starts playing them and he blasts them to the entire prison.
wow.
And this music, and there's a someone is singing opera, and the music is so stunningly gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone stops everything they're doing and they listen and they breathe it in, and you can almost see everybody's body relax.
Yeah. It's a visceral.
If that's played, what would you be doing to reorder the brain
Mm-hmm.
in all of these people who are so angry and so violent? How could you, I mean, imagine what you could do.
Yeah.
And they're also finding, I think, with autistic children, playing certain beautiful music reaches them in so many other ways.
Mm-hmm.
Along with, there are some other things that really do help autistic children. So,
It totally regulates the nervous system.
exactly, because that's a frequency.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the more we understand frequency, I mean, in the beginning was the word,
Mm-hmm.
and that statement is repeated in the Tibetan culture, the Israeli culture, the Jewish culture, Navajo, in Hindu culture. All of these cultures all over the world have the same statement,
Mm-hmm.
which just goes to show you at the end of the day, we're all the same.
Yeah.
All want the same things for each other and for our world, hopefully, which is peace.
Mm-hmm.
And that word was a frequency, it was a sound, it was the primordial beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And the more these beautiful sounds can
Mm-hmm.
echo through us, imagine that the tension relaxes,
Mm-hmm.
which means that when you go to sleep and you're in a relaxed state, then the subconscious can repair the body all night long. So then you start the day feeling like $1 million.
Like
I
a
mean,
million
you feel
bucks.
fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I remember the shift that happened when I would, when I was dealing with the illness, and I would wake up, and my sleep wasn't very good. So then my waking hours weren't very good, and there wasn't a real definition, distinction between the sleep time and the wake time, and they were all kind of muddled. And so when I woke up, there was a heaviness that was like kind of like, oh, I got to get myself up. And as that started to shift, it's like when you wake up and you are just like the birds that are out singing, you know what I mean? And
Yes, I do. I do.
you
I
feel
do.
like,
I live in a forest, so a
and
red. It's just beautiful.
it's just beautiful, and something that we can all achieve. There's something that I wanted to point out, because in addition to having all of these instruments, and you know how important this is, because all cultures have have their type of sound healing, and sound is universal. For example, if 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 I make a sound, uh, we don't have to speak the same language, but you would instantaneously know how I felt, right? If I was like,
Correct.
versus, ah, we
Exactly.
saw that. So we are actually instruments as well.
Yes,
And
sir. Very good point.
and so each person can use, if you don't have access to crystal bowls or chimes or whatever, you are an instrument and you have a voice. And just by humming, hmm, you start to elicit that relaxation response in the body. And there's studies that show that it activates and balances the vagus nerve. And so it starts to rebalance you just by your humming, just by the sound that you're making.
That is
Hmm.
it's one of these things, you know it, but listening to you explain it is extremely valuable.
Yeah. So
What
that's
yeah,
singing in the shower, singing in the car,
singing, just sing, even if you're not great at it, sing.
matter. Doesn't matter. It's an expression, right? Just like the birds. The birds are out there chirping and singing, and they're not thinking, oh, what if I'm off pitch, you know, or oh, what if I'm
Right.
wrong? They're just expressing, and so just by your expression, your vocal expression, you can begin to heal your own body and regulate your nervous system and get yourself into a place that where you raise your frequency.
The other thing is when you're doing this, and by the way, bird song triggers a lot of the activity in trees. And as each bird kind of wakes up and starts singing, it triggers the trees to do what they need to do. That's why when these developers level a forest,
Yeah.
the damage is just staggering because you don't have the interplay between what bird song and how the trees are functioning. They need each other. In
Yeah.
nature, there is always balance.
Mhm.
When you're playing this music and you have a house full of crystals, like I do, some of them are, um, beautiful, pretty little clusters and, to points and all kinds of things. When you are broadcasting these tones, you're programming your crystals with
Mhm.
the highest frequency possible. Then the crystals magnify that and they are putting that out there. So you're doing multiple things all at the same time. You're helping the plants and the animals and the crystals and the metal in your car. And so you have this massive synergistic effect.
Mhm.
There are two interesting professions that have sound as part of their lives. One of them are beekeepers.
Mhm.
Beekeepers live a really long time because the humming of the bees is a perfect balance and you hear it all the time and you're in complete harmony with your bees.
Yes.
The other person, and I learned this from my brother, who had a master's in music, is that conductors live a very long time because they're always conducting the most beautiful music. Hopefully, it's beautiful music. And and a lot of times, if you're singing, you know, I mean, look at the tones of a Julie Andrews, where this, that just rockets up and down, and you feel it. Everybody practically in the United States and a lot of parts of the world know all the words to all the songs in The Sound of Music.
Right.
It's hard to think of another film where everybody knows all the words of every song
Mhm.
because something was magical about that.
Yeah.
And it answered a need people had for something beautiful with that music. There's a lot of modern composers, whether it's Jerry Goldsmith or God, I'm drawing a blank on composers, but Jerry Goldsmith was one of them. And Spielberg uses a lot of these great guys. And some of the modern music, whether it's the Close Encounters of the Kind and John, God, what's his name? It'll come to me. And when you're listening to their music, I mean, Star Wars music or any of these great composers, you're hearing this whole dynamic and you watch your emotions go through the whole gamut as
Mhm.
you listen to the music.
Mhm.
The the music, the film is nothing without the music. The music is triggering all of your emotion that the producer or the director want you to feel at that moment.
Mhm.
So if you had, can you imagine Jaws without the sound of da 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 da, da and you just feel it.
Mhm.
So if we're more conscious of how music and tone and sound and instruments affect us and everything in our environment, from the smallest little crystal ball to I have some big clusters. I actually have some earthkeeper clusters
Mhm.
pieces. Then you're basically creating in your home a power spot on earth.
Yes.
So, Sherry, that's obviously what you've done in your home, looking at all these instruments,
Mhm.
looking at the music that you're playing. And when you're putting this out there, you're affecting not just your square of property or your wherever your home or your dwelling is,
Mhm.
you're affecting everything in a geographic area because you've created a power spot of beautiful music and sound. And that creates a very positive karmic ripple.
Yes.
And I think that's just a really cool concept.
Yeah. One thing that I learned very quickly was that, and let me just preface this with when I went to purchase my singing bowl. So first I purchased a gong and I played with it, and the gong is metal, so it has a more yang or masculine
It
energy,
has.
and which is really quite fitting with the age that we're leaving.
Yes.
And as we open to the Aquarian age,
Hmm.
there's more of a presence of the divine feminine, and the crystals are that frequency. And so when I started to be interested in the crystal bowls, I went and I purchased them. And you know how you were saying it's like they're so potent and powerful that the cost is just something that doesn't, in the end, doesn't matter, right? I mean, you have to be able to afford them, but I remember I spent over $6,000 on 5 bowls, and they weren't very big, and they all fit in one carrying case.
Hmm.
And my kids, I think, thought I was nuts.
Hey, I bought a crystal mine in Arkansas. My kids knew I was nuts.
Right, right. And my logical mind, I just had to put it on hold because there was this soul um, pull that these need to go home with you. And so I was there, and I just kept saying, okay, I'm just so happy that I have these, but can you give me any hints? Can you tell me how to play them? Is there anything you can tell me? And the answer that kept coming back was, play the crystal bowls, they'll teach you. And that really is what has happened, that if I have played them, that they have taught me. And one of the things that they taught me was that when I'm playing them, I need to, if I'm going to play, not if I'm just playing for myself, okay? If I'm playing for myself, I can use that to raise my frequency. But if I'm playing for someone else, I need to really attend to my vibration and do all the things that we do, cleanse the body, purify, eat clean, prayer, meditation, to prepare myself, so that I am a clear vessel, and that my vibration is high enough that my energy, because your energy will also go through
Yes,
the
it's absolutely true.
and I caught myself one time in a video, and I could read my energy, and I was a little bit appalled, but it was a good reminder that this is what I have to tend to if I'm going to play for other people. And I'm sure that all performers, musicians, they realize that kind of intuitively. It's like you got to get yourself into kind of the best frame of mind
Yes.
before you go to share. But that was something that was very a profound lesson for me to learn.
I think that's also, I think something else to consider is that when we're playing this music, and we talked about it goes into the crystals and the plants and the animals, it goes into your food.
Yes.
It goes into your eggs and your mustard and
Mm-hmm.
your meat and vegetables. So when you're cooking, because food basically carries the taste of the frequency of the person who created it.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody has a different cooking frequency.
Yeah.
You love some restaurants more than you love others.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, do you like that taste of that frequency? So when you're putting this glorious frequency out there
Mm-hmm.
and you're loving it and you're feeling it, then, oh my goodness, it's just, you're going to be able to taste it in the food. The food will be more nutritious. The
Mm-hmm.
body will be able to accept the food better, especially if it's, not awful
Mm-hmm.
processed food. It has life force in it.
Mm-hmm.
Because what the sound does is it enhances the life force of everything, whether it's crystal or plants or people or pets
Mm-hmm.
or your car. I mean, how many of us say we love our car?
Yeah.
And so you're filling your car with this positive energy. If you say, "Oh, I've got a lemon, I hate my car,"
Mm-hmm.
your car will break down. My son again is a mechanic, and he said, "People who love their car, the cars don't break down. People who tell you they hate their car, they're in the shop every week
Yeah.
because it's the vibration of negative energy projected onto a metal object, and the metal object has no choice but to react.
Well, and everything is energy, right? So,
Everything is energy."
hmm so, um, like I speak to my plants, I speak to my house, I thank my house for being a place for me to lay my head, and I consider my house to be like a sanctuary. And so it's like just like in your body, you're only going to bring in foods that are nutritious and high vibrational, and you're going to not take poison. You're not going to also put poisonous words or energy into your house.
Exactly.
That's your second body, really. So
Well, I think we've covered quite a bit of ground in about an hour, so it's nothing short of amazing.
would you
Uh,
like, before we stop, would you like to hear this one?
yes, this one is from Israel, you said.
Mm-hmm.
Let's show everybody that one.
So this is called a bajine, and
That is just beautiful because the background amplifies it.
mhm, yeah,
That's just wonderful.
yeah, it's beautiful. You just and you can tell because it sounds beautiful. And when you hear beautiful things, there's just no way that it can't uplift us. It just makes you tingle. Makes all your cells sing.
That's right. With all your cells, things can be beautiful and in balance.
Hmm.
Well, Sherry, thank you so much for joining me today and for sharing so many wonderful insights about music and sound and vibration and crystal, and especially these beautiful crystal singing bowls. And I know that they sell them in many rock and gem stores, and I've just started to see them on Amazon, and they come with carrying cases. So something to consider. So you have a metaphysical friend, you need a gift, a crystal singing bowl is a really good one.
That's
All
beautiful.
right, so that pretty much does it for today. If you want to hear this podcast, it's going to be on YouTube. You can also listen to it on the Ghost Helpers app, which is on Amazon as well as the App Store. And the app is free. It's for anyone who wants to download it and have it available. My books are on ghosthelpers.com. And if you have a question for myself or any of my guests over time, you contact at ghosthelpers.com reaches me. Sherry, thank you again. And for all of you listening and watching, thank you so much for joining us today.